Alright, welcome back to the channel. Hope everybody's doing good. Got Josh here with me today. We're gonna have a little change of pace and do a Q&A type video. So I've took questions off my phone and different things people have asked me over the past couple weeks, and wrote them down, and we're gonna go over them, and we should have some good talking points. Alright, what's the first question we got?
First question. How do you choose which WMA you'll hunt or which ones? So,
Good question.
you got any you prefer or why do you prefer
I ain't
them?
giving no names up. Um, the easy answer to that would be go on Facebook and search different wildlife management areas, and write down the ones that have the worst reviews. Like if all the posts and comments on, say, Florida Hunters Network or the Public Land Hunters of Florida or something, if all the comments and posts are negative,
I didn't see nothing. There's
didn't
no
see
deer
nothing,
here. Don't come here.
nothing but hogs and mosquitoes, then that's
Okay.
what I'm writing down, and I'm gonna go look at.
Swampy, hot. You get straight
Yeah,
through water. Okay.
yeah. If all the posts say bring 10 thermocells, that's where I'm going.
Okay.
Or nobody. It's just I might see some posts where people killed some hogs or something, but it's one of those management areas that nobody likes because they're not successful.
Right.
Then I'm gonna go look. I'm gonna go look at that management area, and it may be a bust, but there's deer everywhere.
Right.
Every management area.
Yeah, every management area's got deer.
Yeah, it holds deer, so it's just a matter of finding that pocket of deer. And if if the if the main, not say the main guys that hunt Florida, but if you're kind of hardcore hunters aren't hunting that management area,
Right.
then I have it to myself.
Yeah.
So that would be how I kind of pick my management areas. Unless I'm riding down the road and I see a giant across the road,
yeah,
then
100 score
ooh, I'm
buck.
gonna
Like,
go.
there's definitely big
I'm
deer
gonna
there.
go hunt
Yeah,
here.
no kidding.
But short of that, what would you say to that?
I just say, especially for somebody who's newest hunting to me, is something you can get comfortable with. You're putting time and boots on the ground, so a lot of times, a lot of guys would just show up the week before opening day and expect to see a big buck, but you got to put boots on the ground. So if there's a WMA that's open quota and it's 10 minutes from you, then that might be a good one because you can get there after work, or you can put
Yeah, you get more
boots.
time and
Exactly, more time, and you can actually learn that instead of saying, "Well, I drew this special
having
opportunity
to
hunt.
drive 2 hours and
Yeah,
try to learn
I
it.
only got 3 days to hunt it, so I'll be up there one weekend and hope for the best."
Yeah,
So just somewhere you could actually key in on and find
that's
good deer and close to you, because you're gonna have the most, experience getting boots on the
yeah,
ground and having a lot of time with that area.
that's a good answer. I like that one.
Next question:
What we got next?
When do you start
When
scouting?
do I start
This
scouting?
answer is probably,
uh, 35 years ago.
yeah, no kidding, yeah,
Yeah, every day. Whether I'm looking at a map or, I
yeah,
mean, I'm not always in the woods, but
never stops.
it never stops. Whether it's deer or turkey or something, I'm always scouting. So,
You gotta
but
constantly,
I would
constantly.
say if I was looking at like even trail cameras, I'm gonna leave my trail cameras up a month after season.
Okay.
But if I wanted to go walk a new management area or a new piece and see what the kind of buck activity was, then I'm gonna go do it in February because I can. It's not hunting season, and then I'll be able to see all the rubs and scrapes.
It's cooler
and
too.
it's
You got the
cooler.
temperature.
I'm not out there
It's not
sweating
June,
and
July, and
killing
95
myself.
degrees, and you're
Yeah,
sweating. And yeah, no, I tend to agree with all the apps and software we got today. I mean, even Google Maps, you got Onyx, Hunt
yeah,
Stand. I mean, yeah, I know you use Footpath is a good one that
yeah. I use
look at
anything
the
that has a good
terrain,
map.
but there's no excuse now to not actually be virtually scouting. Anytime throughout the year, you can be on your couch and you could find 4 or 5 areas and you
Yeah,
know
mark 4 or 5 areas and then just keep it back. And when you get a chance to go look at it,
right.
but if you don't get to go scout for 2 or 3 weeks, or maybe the only time you get to go scout is July or August or something like that, you've got a bunch of areas in mind, so it just speeds the process up.
Right, and everybody's got their phone on them every day. There's no excuse not to look at your phone. And like you said, you got downtime, 5 to 10 minutes. That's considered scouting in my eyes. You know,
no doubt.
it's not as great as putting boots on the ground, but yeah, anytime throughout the year. Maybe not June, July, because you'd be sweating in a 95, 100-degree feels like temperature. But
Yeah, I try not to do too much in June and July. I want to gather all my information in February
the cool
and
seasons,
yeah,
yeah, beforehand.
yeah. What we got next?
All right, so which boots do you wear to go through all the mud and water? It's a good question too, because you trek through some deep and some gnarly stuff. So I'm sure a lot of guys are wondering what you wear and what you have on to get you through that stuff.
Can I show you?
Oh man,
Tennis shoes.
tennis shoes.
That's the only way I'll do it anymore.
And
I
you're
do.
probably more lightweight and comfortable in tennis shoes than you would be some knee-high waders. And
With a few exceptions, I'm gonna go deeper than any boots they make anyway, unless I wore like hip waders, and I'm not walking 20 miles on hip waders because it's just uncomfortable. So I'll wear the tennis shoes. A lot of times, if I get somewhere and I am uncomfortable, I'll take them off and just let my feet dry out for a while. But you got to be able to handle that smell too.
no, yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of guys too, especially starting out, you get this fear of these, cottonmouths or snakes, and while they are aggressive, most times they'll try to avoid you.
Avoid you. They're gonna.
If you're walking and they hear you, they're going to try to go the other way. They're not going to.
Most of the time, they're not gonna mess with you. The one thing I will say about shoes, when I buy shoes, I buy a shoe with a firmer toe.
Okay.
That way, if I'm walking in like cypress knees and stuff like that in the dark, I'm not kicking them and breaking my toes.
Yeah, breaking a shin or
I have damaged some toes that way.
yeah. So I know that's a good point.
What do you wear? You wear boots? Or?
I usually just wear some ankle boots, and I might start wearing tennis shoes.
Lace-up boots.
Yeah,
I'm sure a good
something with ankle support.
Yeah.
So like you said, if you step on a cypress, knee, or you're in a swamp and you roll your ankle the wrong way.
I bought a good pair of the Keen lace-up. I guess they're called hiking shoes or something.
Yeah, they're comfortable.
But, yeah, they're really comfortable. But doing what I do and having them wet, like from the day hunting season opens to the day hunting season closes, I don't even get a full hunting season out of them because they've basically just rotted.
Wow, just the amount of
It's hard for me to justify spending all that money on a pair of shoes that's only going to last me, half a hunting season. So, what we got next?
All right, so. Do you hunt special opportunity hunts now?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I do not. And the reason for that is I feel like it limits me if I'm targeting a big buck and I need the right conditions. Well, I'm not going to kill that buck unless the conditions are right, and I'm limited to a 3 or 4 day hunt.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm putting too many eggs in that basket. Like if I have a special opportunity hunt, then I'm out there scouting and putting all my eggs in that basket basically. And then the time comes for the hunt, and the conditions are awful, and I know I'm not going to kill the buck, and then I've basically wasted all that time. So no, I don't even apply for them anymore. The last opportunity special hunt I had would have been in '99 when Green Swamp West opened. The first year it was opened.
Oof. A little while ago.
I think I was 14. I killed a decent buck out there. I had the hunt after James Stovall killed the world record.
No kid.
I was actually me and my dad had actually seen that world record buck with I think two other. There was a couple bachelor groups right there using that area. It was the big one he killed, and 2 bucks with him, and then like on the other side of a clear cut, we kept seeing. It was a 10 point and 2 8s, I believe is what it was. And I ended up missing the 10 point and killing one of the 8s, but I was all depressed when James Stovall killed that deer.
Yeah.
That was the one I
close to it,
Yeah, he had the hunt before I had. The hunt before I did.
Yeah, that's a good point too, because like you're saying, if you actually scout this area and you put all your eggs in that basket, and then your hunt's not until a week before the first opening special opportunity hunt.
And then they kill the deer.
Yeah, now you only have 3 days, and that buck you've been tracking or you have on camera, now you're starting from square one. Whereas other, mansion areas.
I don't think a lot of guys on those special opportunity hunts, I don't think a lot of guys go in and target one particular buck. I mean, I'm sure there's some that do.
Right.
But I think most guys that hunt with special opportunity hunts are trying to draw the permits that are like during rut or pre-rut or something where they can sit back and have an opportunity at 4 or 5 cruising bucks or something. So it's a little different style of hunting. Not
Yeah, you can't go in there to that hunt, and if you get it, have high expectations. It's more or less just like, you find a golden egg, you sit during the rut, and you maybe, see a good buck sign, and that's kind of what
yeah.
I would be looking for if I got that hunt. Like, well, it's a 3-day hunt, and I paid good money for it, but I still got.
And I mean, there's a lot of big bucks in those management areas that do the special opportunity hunts, but it's a different style of
It's a
hunting.
high risk to low reward ratio, in my
That's
opinion.
true. And
Just
yeah, I mean, if you have,
limited time, and it
if
might be big bucks, but like you said, if it's a thunder and lightning and you're
yeah,
getting drenched,
you could get a hurricane come
yeah,
through.
and then there you go, you're out because you've spent all your eggs in the basket scouting that area, and now the your management area 20 minutes away that you could have been scouting, you got no bucks on camera, and you're starting from square one.
Right.
So
Yeah, if I had the situation kind of like you're talking about, where I kind of knew the special opportunity area, like Green Swamp West, I know like the back of my hand just because I grew up out there. But if I wanted to apply for that one, I wouldn't go scout it. Like I wouldn't put any eggs in that basket. I would just basically be fine wasting those 4 days to go on the hunt,
yeah,
just for some new scenery or something. But no,
right, and a chance of getting that big buck,
yeah.
but
But
you're
I
not,
don't apply. I
you
mean,
don't have high
the
expectations.
the same caliber bucks that guys are getting on camera or killing out here on the special opportunity hunts, I'm getting on the non-quota places. So I can't really
Exactly, yeah.
justify
So
it. But what about you? You put in for 'em?
no, I mean, I like you said, I've heard good things about them, but at the same time, when I got 3 or 4 management areas that are within an hour drive, if not 15, 20 minutes, it's hard to justify, saying, "Oh, I'm going to devote a lot of time to these areas," when I can learn this other
And
area,
find the big
and
bucks.
I got a month to kill this big buck,
Yeah.
whereas I got 3 days or maybe a week,
Right.
and I just spent who knows how much on trying to get the tag, and then I got high expectations
For
with a low
3 or
outcome.
4 day hunt. Yeah.
Yeah, so to me, no, I don't apply for them either, just because the fact of having the availability, and it's not worth it, like you're saying. For me,
All right. What's next?
how does Florida hunting compare to other southern states like Georgia or South Carolina? That's a good one. That's a good one.
I'll let you hit this one first.
Number one, I mean, I think anybody out of state, I mean, they just know that the heat is terrible. You'll go out during archery season, and you'll,
Even the line, like guys like us, if we go to zone A, I mean, that's a whole
yeah,
nother level down there.
you're just sweating
Yeah.
profusely, and the heat is
Yeah.
probably the number one.
My hat's off to zone A hunters that
Oh
are
man,
hardcore zone A hunters
it's
because I
it's
can't take that heat.
it's tough. And then obviously most southern states have them, mosquitoes and everything like that. They'll get you too, annoyance, but you can prep and everything. But I think that's probably,
What do you think about the deer herd? Like Florida's deer herd compared to Georgia and South Carolina?
yeah, definitely. We're a little, I would say, lacking on the side of deer herd. Just
Numbers.
yeah, numbers as far as what we have available, and amount of shooter bucks we have available too. You might see a little cow horn spike, and that might be all what you see.
And be happy to see.
Yeah, you're like, oh wow, it's a buck, and so it's definitely different, in South Carolina and Georgia, where they probably have, I would say double the amount in some areas
Deer,
of,
yeah.
of deer in that area. So just seeing deer, we talk about, and getting good bucks on camera down here is
Yeah.
brings light to your eye. Whereas Georgia, oh, I got 12 points every day coming in on public land. Well,
We got
okay,
deer coming into feeders.
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah, public. I don't know much about South Carolina or Georgia or any really. I mean, as far as hunting public and other states, I've really only turkey hunted it, so I can't really speak
right.
for the public deer hunting. But just like I lived in Tennessee for 3 years, so I know the deer herd there is way. And, there's way more deer there
Well,
than there is
the
here.
population from hunters to deer too in
Yeah.
Florida, we got way more hunters than Georgia or South Carolina.
One thing about like even Georgia, South Carolina, but Florida has been a throwaway or not recognized as a big buck state for since forever.
Yeah. I
For,
mean,
for so all the your average Florida hunter until we got the horn restriction was happy to shoot the spike. So
Right.
everybody's killing the year and a half,
This
2 year old
brown it's
deer.
down mentality
Yeah,
in Florida.
brown. You know,
Yeah.
if it's got a horn, it's got a horn. It's down, and they were proud of it.
Right.
And we still see that a lot. So I mean, well, now we have the horn restrictions, but even with that, they got the first legal buck that comes by. 90% of your hunters are
Right. I
shooting.
mean, most of
So
the horn restrictions too in Florida are, almost
yeah,
not even
they'll get them an extra year, maybe. I
right.
mean, that helps a lot. I'm all for the horn restriction.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's not anything to the extreme where people think where we're having to shoot a 6 point or
No,
8 point.
no.
It's
Yeah,
still there,
and
but
that's the
it's
difference on a lot of the special opportunity hunts. The four on one side or something, so that gives a lot of those deer, unless he's one of them little tight rack, year and a half old with a little tight rack
right.
legal deer, then for the most part, all the 2.5 year olds get, most of the 2.5 year olds get an extra year, so gains them some wisdom.
No,
It makes them
absolutely.
harder to hunt, but going back to that question, how does Florida compare? Um, I think the people are the hardest. The
Yeah.
other hunters are the hardest thing to do with in Florida, just because there's so much of a lack of knowledge,
Yeah.
and you're having to deal with that on public property. Um, and then the other thing would be the number of older deer we have in Florida or on public land compared to the other states. There's way less in Florida, I think, but Florida deer hunting isn't any harder. Like if we just say we drove over to Tampa Palms or we drove over to the state park,
Right.
there's 150-inch, 160-inch Florida bucks out there running around stupid and take pictures
You
of
still
them.
got to find their bedding
And
areas. You still got to
well,
find
I
where
mean,
they're
they're
doing it.
still they're
Yeah.
they're here.
Yeah.
Florida grows them,
Mm-hmm.
but the hunters are the worst part of. I mean, you go out on public land and where guys have been happy just to wipe the deer herd out for years. So we have less deer, but as far as the deer aren't any harder to hunt, they're just
Right.
less of them.
And two, our seasons in Florida, especially on private land, are such a lengthy. If you go, let's just say,
I honestly don't even know what the seasons are.
I don't either,
Private, because
but
I
it
don't hunt
doesn't.
private.
Yeah, I don't know what they are in Georgia or South Carolina, but I know in Florida,
We have a long season.
yeah, even in the management areas,
Yeah,
like some
most
of the
of them are.
areas, that we hunt, they're
Yeah,
2 3 months.
mm-hmm.
So, like you said, that deer, it's a lot harder for them to survive even on
No
public
doubt.
land.
Yeah, it's harder for a deer to survive.
Yeah, so they're getting hunted, maybe twice as hard compared to Georgia or South Carolina.
Twice as many man
Yeah,
hours, I guess. Yeah.
yeah, and we got more people and more hunters, and so the pressure, I would say, definitely compared to Georgia or South Carolina. If you just look at probably numbers alone, amount of hunters, the length of season and the deer herd we
Mm-hmm.
have is, it's
Yeah.
just a lot more pressure on our Florida deer, like you said, because they're not getting this.
Yeah, they have a lot. Just by the amount of hunters and the length of our hunting season. I think that adds a lot of stress to the deer too. So a stressed deer herd's never as good as a not
Right,
stressed deer
absolutely. A
herd.
nonchalant private land deer
Mm-hmm.
who's, able to bed in the same area every day and not getting chased by dogs or somebody with a bow and arrow. And
I ain't
so,
gonna talk bad about the dogs though, 'cause
no,
I
no,
am a dog hunter. So.
absolutely. But, some areas like Georgia or South Carolina where, WMA butts
Mm.
up to a 10,000 acre farm or something
Mm.
like that. Well, he's going to hop the fence and,
Yeah.
come back. But I think, yeah, definitely, obviously we're going to be biased, but Florida hunting, I think, is a little bit tougher than some of the other southern states,
Yeah.
especially just for those factors. You got to consider them compared to other states. So,
All right. What we got?
is it better to hunt mornings or evenings, opening week of archery in Zone C? It's a good question there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
I think if I were to answer it, it's mainly, comes in when we talk about scouting. If, you'd love to be close to that bedding area, but if you only got 2 or 3 bucks on camera and they're coming in the evening, well, I'm probably going to try to get closer, but I'm going to hunt them in the evening,
Yeah.
So that kind of would dictate, too, to me, if, hey, man, I've walked 40, 50 miles this season, but I've only got bucks in the evening in this spot and this spot.
Mhm.
Well, that dictates to me. I'm gonna hunt that place in the evening. I haven't figured out in that time frame where they're bedding up or where they're feeding at. So I think that has to play a factor in where I'm gonna hunt or how I hunt. I know you got a little bit more pattern on the deer, so you got a little more flexibility is where you can hunt or why you hunt this.
More places I'm familiar with too, probably than
Exactly. So
most
you know where
cities.
they're going to be traveling in the morning and the evening. So I know that
I think
helps.
I'm gonna try to answer that like you answered it, based off trail camera knowledge. I'm gonna act like I don't have a trail camera up, you know.
Okay.
So if I was just going in blind to hunt, I would want to know, you know, my acorns dropping. Am I gonna hunt like a oak hammock or an isolated oak tree? If I'm hunting an isolated oak tree, uh, I may try to set up between, say, an oak hammock and the isolated oak tree. You know, a couple hundred yards from where I think he's bedding or something. I may try to do that in the morning
Okay.
and try to catch him coming back from the oak hammock or wherever he's been. Um, in the evening time, it really just depends. In the evening time, if I have a spot that's not, I know's not getting any hunter pressure, nobody's walking through there or anything like that, then and I get a good wind for it. Wind is the biggest thing for me in the evenings
Okay.
because everybody knows the wind swirls like crazy in
Oh
Florida
yeah.
till about January. You know, you
Hmm.
don't get a good wind till January,
Right.
but you know, we're talking September
Hmm.
for Zone C. So the wind's going to be swirling in the evening or all day, you know. So I don't know what, I can't remember what time it gets dark in September, but
I think
um,
it's
I'd have to look. But so you got the wind's basically gonna calm down, and the thermals are gonna start taking over. You know, roughly an hour before legal lights up.
right.
So if I have the right situation, then I will go in and hunt that 30 minutes.
That little small window in
But
the evening. Yeah.
as far as getting in my tree stand at 3:30 and getting ready, no, because my wind's doing this,
Hmm.
so I'm not gonna do it. But in the morning time, you'll have that consistent wind, almost no wind. The thermal's doing all the work until 8:15, 8:30 ish a lot of times.
And
So
it's a
you
little
get a
more
longer window to hunt in the morning.
enjoyable in the morning
Oh yeah,
too
no
in
doubt.
September when you're
But yeah, you have a
95 degrees, 100 feels like, and
105.
you're walking, sometimes miles into a spot, and you're like, "Yeah, I could take a break. This is,
Yeah, and we actually talked about that before we turned the camera on. But walking miles into a spot, we're completely soaked with sweat.
hmm
Like you know, and me, I'm putting mosquito spray on and everything else.
yeah,
So I'm gonna stink, and there's
exactly.
really
Yep.
nothing I can do about it.
No,
So I have to hunt when the wind allows me to hunt, unless I'm just hunting to be in the woods. But if
right.
I'm going in for the kill, it's hard to say. I can't say whether it's better to hunt mornings or evenings. It
No, that's
depends on the deer, depends on the spot, depends on the pressure.
absolutely
Like deer don't want to be hiding out all day. Naturally, a deer wants to be out in the open. They're open. They're creatures that like the open. But hunting pressure and pressure is what drives them into the thickets.
hmm
So pressure would dictate my answer on that, I guess.
no, that's a good
Make sense?
answer. Yeah, no, that's a good answer. Like you said, it's pressure, and it's really the deer that you're hunting that's going to dictate that.
Yeah.
Because you pattern that deer, and you're not really seeing them move at 5 or 6 o'clock at night, but 7 a.m. they're
Every
hitting an
day
oak
they're going
tree,
to
or
bed or
yeah,
something.
they're going somewhere where you know that okay, I think they're gonna be in this area. Then you can key in on that and maybe not hunt it after work because there's no point. And not only that too.
I've got a lot of places that I'm not 100% sure why. I think it has something to do with the thermals and the wind, and the deer can't smell good in the evenings.
Okay,
From the like it's um all the deer that come out of this bedding area exit to the east side. It's a huge bedding area, so they exit to the east side, and I won't see any deer in the evenings making it up to a place where I can hunt. Like they'll be out there in the water in the ponds feeding around and stuff, and I know they are
right.
because the deer doesn't lay down for 8 hours or
No, no, they're moving.
if I put cameras down that edge or something, I'm not getting my first picture till maybe 25 minutes after legal
Shooting light.
shooting light.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a lot of places, and deer aren't going to do anything that's unsafe for 'em other than the rut. So I think it's just like the thermals, or there's something happening, and I don't understand all that stuff. But there's some reason deer won't exit.
Right.
I mean, in the morning time they'll be out there, frolicking around.
Yeah.
But in the evenings they're not going to exit that bedding area.
The,
Like
well, the morning and evening hunts too. I mean, Zone C is such a big area. You know, it's
oh yeah, yeah. From if you go
the
from the north end of
end.
Zone C,
You could have a cold front in the
yeah,
north end of Zone C and
in the
at the
south
south
end's 100
end.
degrees.
So if you say, oh yeah, hunt in the evening, and you're on the north
Yeah,
end and a cold front's coming through, it might be better to hunt in the morning. But so it kind
zone
of varies because Zone C is not
Zone C is one of my favorite zones to hunt. I like hunting Zone Z, and it has a lot of big river swamp.
right. And
So I love hunting Zone C, but yeah, like you said, they could be doing something totally different on the north end that they're not doing on the south end. So to answer that question is very tough.
yeah, exactly. Plus different management areas. Some are high and dry, and
Yeah, summer swamp.
some are swampy.
Mm.
So, like you said, the Zone C being so vast, like
Yeah,
it's hard to answer that question because it's two different ends of the spectrum. You're hunting high and dry deer and
yeah,
swamp deer. So
you ain't gonna kill them on the couch.
no, yeah, there is no wrong time to be hunting. That's for sure. So I think that's some good answers.
All right, what we got?
All right. I plan to hang cameras this weekend for a special opportunity hunt that will be pre-rut phase. Should I hang cameras on rub lines I found in turkey season?
What do you think?
I think if it was me, possibly. If that's the only sign that I found, and I know that it looks like a good area and they're fresh, of course, then that'd be a good start. Like you said, place a camera. If you got the time and that special opportunity area is open, then yeah, that's a good start. You can't go wrong, on a rub line, but you don't know if that buck's been killed though. You don't know what had
You
happened in
don't know. He
between.
could have came through there and made all those rubs in one single night.
Right. Yeah. So
You're hunting a ghost.
it gives you a start, but it's not something that I would say, full confidence that, oh man, I'm going to hunt that area because, like you said, you don't know why he was coming through there or what he was doing there. Maybe a hunter pushed him to that little pocket that
Yeah, he
night.
hung out there for a night. I've
Yeah,
seen that multiple times where a deer got pushed. That I know that deer doesn't live in that area, and he got pushed by dogs or something way down there and tore the place up. You'd think it was the best place to hunt. There's scrapes and rubs everywhere.
right.
But I know it was that one deer that got pushed down there because I threw a camera up
Mm-hmm.
and 365 days did not get a single buck picture.
Right.
That deer came from 20 miles over
Especially if your hunt's in February or you got to hunt in November and you're
there. Yeah, I'm
scouting
thinking, he said, I guess it depends on which zone, but,
pre-rut phase, so that still varies,
yeah,
part of
yeah.
the state you're in, but
Um,
it's tough. That's what we go back to the special opportunity hunts. You kind of throwing a dart on dartboard. You know where you want to go and where you want to be at, but at the end of the day, it's unless you've been there and you've got that hunt year after year, it's sometimes tough to
yeah,
be able to hunt a rub line if you don't know that deer's still alive there or pushed there. Or
yeah.
you don't know why he was there.
I think if all I had to go on was the information of I was in there in turkey season and I found a good rub line, and I'm assuming it's a big rub line or you wouldn't take notes of it.
Right. If you see one spare,
So,
probably let it be.
I mean, throw a camera up on the rub line. I would look at the map real good and see if I could see on a map why he was there. Because just like we just said, it may be a place where he came through to check a doe and he was only there for one night or 2 nights, or it could be he could have just found the rub line from the dominant buck that really doesn't leave an area.
Okay.
So it could be great, but I wouldn't put any, I guess, expectation or any, as far as the cameras go. Like I know hanging a camera on a rub line, I may not get the first picture till November 20th, or so I don't know
Right.
I don't know when the hunt is, but um, I would be I would put a camera on the rub line, and then I would want to look around the rub line. I would want to know
Absolutely.
if there's anywhere for him to bed. What kind of feeds around the rub line.
Yeah, if there's oak trees near, if it looks like a thicket, a bedding area.
Another thing I would look at is, are all the trees rubbed on one side? Like he's all going,
same direction, same path.
If he's hit that rub line going the same direction every time, that means a few things. Either he's coming from the bed, going slowly, making rubs, and he does it regular, or he hit it one time.
Right,
He had a
absolutely.
doe out there, whatever he was doing, he hit it one time, and he lives 20 miles over there. So that's hard to say there.
Yeah.
That's one of those he knows questions.
Right, but I think, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's a great starting point, like you said, because if
Oh yeah,
you found that rub, you
yeah,
know he's in that
yeah.
area. Now you just got to draw that circle and say,
Yeah,
is there one of them?
that rub line could be the ticket. I mean, that
Could
could
be.
be it.
Yeah, like you said, at least it gives you a
It
start.
could throw that camera up on the rub line, and a week before his hunt, he starts getting $10 a day coming through there. 9 a.m. Then
It is Florida public land, so the camera could go missing too. So then you know it's a good area. If you come back to that camera and it's gone, then I would definitely probably hunt that for the special opportunity. It's Florida public land, so you gotta be
Yeah.
mindful of that.
Don't buy expensive camera.
Yeah. Amazon's got some good deals. Can attest to that. All right. Next question. How do deer use different food sources at different times of the year? Do they have a preferred food source? If so, how do you know which to hunt and when?
Well,
I think me and you talked about this a little bit.
yeah.
Obviously, when the acorns start dropping, everybody knows that. It's no secret that they're going to eat acorns. That's one of the major food sources once they start dropping. If they can beat the hogs or even sometimes turkey to it,
Coons.
Yeah, coons, everything eats
Um,
acorns. So that's,
I think my quick answer to that would be the pressure. Like pressure dictates what a deer eats. In Florida public land 90% of the time, because can't see it on camera, but that dark horn buck right there
yeah,
was living in a cypress pond, and during daylight, I would almost bet he didn't come out of it
wow.
because he, obviously had his water. He's living in a cypress pond,
Mm-hmm.
but there was so much of that green, um, water grass. I don't know what you call it. It's like the weed that grows in the grass. It's
Yeah.
not algae, but it's similar to algae.
Mm-hmm.
And when we cleaned him, he was full of it.
Wow. So
And
he's
so I
just,
think he basically lived in that cypress pond, and that's what he ate. At night he would come out and eat something, I'm sure.
right.
But I think 90% of the time he was living in that cypress pond eating that grass weed or, water weed. So, I mean, are you considering that a food source? I'm sure he didn't want to be sitting out there eating water weed. He wanted to be over on somebody's corn pile, or,
Right, yeah.
he wanted some better food, but because of pressure, he was out there
Okay.
eating water weed. So the big answer would be pressure for me. Like, I mean, obviously, like you said, they like acorns, but if two guys are hunting the oak tree, then
Yeah,
they're not eating
and
acorns.
that's a good point. You got to be mindful because everybody else is thinking the same thing you're thinking. Man, I see this
So
great big.
let's say if do they have a preferred food source? If so, how do you know which to hunt and when? I'm gonna go back to pressure. I mean,
Yeah,
pressure is gonna tell me which one to hunt. And then if I found an area that wasn't pressured at all, take the 10 point, the video of me shooting a 10 point, for instance,
right.
and that burn was like 9 months old. His food source was the green, the new vegetation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he wasn't traveling far at all. He was right there every
He
day.
had everything he needed right
Yeah,
there.
so if I can find and burns, you can always find good food sources on a burn that's a month old to a year old or whatever. Deer like that fresh, the new growth. So I mean, and that again, that's probably not his top pick. He would probably be he would probably rather be eating something else. But because the pressure around the area, he found a safe spot where they're like a goat, and he had all
Yeah,
the new growth he wanted to eat, and he could live right there and be content.
yeah. Especially in Florida with just so much greenery we have. Once it starts in the rainy season, we start getting rain. Everything starts kind of greening up, and
I saw a guy, it was on, I think, Facebook yesterday or something. A guy posted a picture of that wide blade grass that grows in cypress ponds. I can't even remember the name of it, weird name, but you know, the deer eat the ends of it. You'll see
Yeah,
it. You walk
the
to the side
tips.
for fun. The tips are all
Yep.
tipped off. But that would be another. You know, if I found an area with nothing but that, and I can look at it and see all the tips are ate off, I'm gonna assume. Yeah, I mean, it may be does and yearlings, but there's something
Right.
bedded close to that that's
Hmm.
just getting up and milling around and tipping that grass, eating the tips off.
And it kind of goes back to that question that, in Georgia or South Carolina hunting is like we talked about. You got so much greenery, and you're talking about they're in cypress ponds eating this type of grass, or they're eating this algae, and there's a burn. Whereas Georgia, once a freeze happens, everything
You got
starts to die,
less
and
less greenery.
yeah,
Yeah.
so around September it starts getting colder and colder up there. While we're still in 85, 90 degrees,
Yeah.
and everything's still green. So it's
85, 90 degrees in September. I would like to see that.
yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. Try 105.
Yeah, try 100 feels like, and
Yeah.
humidity's out the
Yeah,
roof. Yeah.
I hope it's 85 or 90.
So yeah, I think that's hard. Like down here in Florida, is you got to be mindful. They could eat anything and everything.
Oh, there it
If it's
goes.
green, yeah,
Oh, there it goes.
yeah, they're. It's hard to really
I
pinpoint.
know it. I see. You know, I've never went and hunted a lot of the northern states, but I watched some of those videos and like Wisconsin or the Upper Peninsula and places like that where the deer are out there eating tree bark and stuff. You know, everything's iced over. There's not
Yeah,
a leaf to be found. Or they're digging in the snow and eating
hmm
these roots and
it's
stuff.
all
And
dead, so they gotta
that's
find.
all
Yeah,
foreign to me, but it's the exact same thing as here, to where our pressure pushes them into these little areas and they eat what's there.
right. What's
So
available to them.
yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
some of your videos, you're hunting burns. Is that something you look
Yeah,
for?
we kind of just talked about
Yeah,
that, didn't we?
exactly. Yeah, ties into what we just really
Yeah.
talked about.
Yeah. Or yes and no, I guess. If I could find, I think burns grow horns. We kind of talked about that a little bit earlier. The ash, they're just minerals from the ash. Like a lot of your management areas that they burn regular. I've talked about it before. We can shine, you know, spotlight.
Hmm.
So dog hunting, we'll do a lot of
Okay.
spotlighting, and you can literally go to a burn that's still smoking and smoldering and flames in places, and
Deer will be
deer be
covered.
all over it because they're out there eating that ash. But then once we get a rain and the green starts coming up, then they're out there. They can get ash and the green and all the new leaves and new growths, and so yeah, I guess it's something I look for, but not
Yeah,
strictly.
that's a tough one because not every area is doing a
Yeah,
burn every
yeah,
year.
that would
So
be, I guess, for burns. The only burns I would be hunting are almost in a dog. I think in a dog hunting management area, other than maybe Green Swamp.
okay.
So yeah, a little different. But,
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like you said, something to key in on, but don't go. Man, I didn't find a burn today. Like I want
yeah,
to go and
yeah, yeah. I'm not gonna do
go
that.
back to the truck and pout. Like I wouldn't use that just
And
as a
another thing,
tactic.
if I was looking for burns, then like I can go to Onyx or any app that updates the map fairly recently, even Google Maps. But on Onyx, you can go back through the dates. But you can look and see when an area was burnt. You know, go through the dates,
Right.
and when everything shows up brown, you know it was burnt. And a lot of times I will look at that on a map because you can see, depending on how wet it was when they burnt. You know, if there's areas of standing water, then that pocket doesn't get burnt. Well, if they do that, say they burn this area every 5 years. Well, if it happens to be burnt on years where that area was standing water,
Yeah.
then that's gonna that just the vegetation gets to grow.
Okay.
So like gallberries or tie-dye bush or whatever the invasive species, basically whatever is there growing in that water, then it grows up enough to where it becomes a bedding area almost, or
Okay.
a thick place for a deer to bed. So and you can see that on the maps. And so I always keep that in mind
Yeah.
when I'm looking at burns. You can see just by looking at the burn on your map, you can see what burnt and what didn't and whatever. So I may just drop a pin when I'm looking at a fresh burn on a map. I may
Right.
just drop a pin like, hey, that didn't get burnt. I'm gonna keep that in mind. And then
Yeah.
one day I go look at it.
So
What do you
it's
think about burns? Yeah, you ever really hunted a burn?
no, I've never really hunted a burn, so like that's a good tactic, like you said. I mean,
Yeah, you want to talk turkeys? Then we'll look at burns.
yeah, absolutely. Those are some honey holes when turkey season comes around. But kind of tying into turkey season, just a question I had, and I know numerous people ran into this. Public land, if you got a spot marked out and you know you're going to hunt there that day, maybe even say special opportunity hunt, you got a limited time. If somebody set up, maybe even 100, 200 yards off, how would you approach
You
that?
talking about archer season?
Yeah, archery season, because you're like, man, that buck's,
Yeah.
we're going to be hunting the same
If it's
buck.
gun season, then safety. I'm always worried about safety. See, I don't like anybody being around me because I've seen so many nut jobs in the woods walking around with guns that
Absolutely, yeah.
scares me. No, I always make sure I have plenty of orange on. Um, archer season.
Because you'll see in these Facebook groups, I mean, oh, professional
Yeah,
courtesy outdoorsmen are dead, but it's like, yeah, I'm a 50-50 on it. If I've scouted this buck and I know he's in there, and I've took time off now to go hunt him, and I'm focused on it, and a guy's set up 200 yards away from me, I don't know even if we're hunting the
if
same
the
buck,
guy, yeah,
but I still want to have that
if the
professional
guys,
courtesy. If he beat me there, then
it depends on the place. Like I'm not trying to make somebody mad, but I've done it several times. To like I said, we get to the parking area at the same time, or I'm walking in and
yeah,
I see his headlight, he's climbing
you're
a
like,
tree or
oh
something
man,
like this.
yeah,
Well, most of the time I'm not worried about it because 90% of people are stopping before I am. I'm
okay.
going that extra little bit
They're
farther
hunting a
in,
totally
or
different area, or they might even know what you don't
and
know
then
what they're
they
hunting.
may be out here on the edge, set up to catch
Okay.
rutting activity, or say they're there because it's a natural funnel or pinch point or something, and they just hunt that every day.
Mm,
No, I'm not hunting that.
no.
I'm going over here. So as long as I'm not messing that guy up, and I'm in situations like that where, especially if I talk to the guy and he's like, yeah, I was like, I'll be like, are you hunting all day? And he's like, no, I'll probably sit till 10. Well, I'm not gonna. Anytime before 10, I'm not gonna move and take a chance on spooking a deer that's gonna go by the guy. So if he tells me he's getting down at 10 o'clock or something, then I'm gonna walk out at 10 if that's what I'm doing.
Okay.
So I'm not gonna do anything to take a chance on messing up somebody else's hunt.
Okay.
But I will walk by 18 guys to
Yeah,
get
absolutely.
to my
Okay.
spot.
So you're still gonna hunt, your spot, but just be mindful and courteous. Hey, like, we're
Yeah.
both hunting. It's public land. Like, you got to be respectful.
And if
I'm trying to kill a
if,
deer. You're trying to kill a deer. Like, this is.
if I talk to the guy and he was a complete jerk, and some guys will do it just right out of the bat, just go to
Yeah.
cussing you, and then
Yeah.
I'm probably just gonna go somewhere else because it's not worth it to me. It's not like I really care about that deer anyway. I got plenty of
No.
other places to go hunt.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But most people, if you talk to them, are decent enough.
Yeah. They understand it, and
Yeah.
like you said.
You'll run into it to the a-hole, every once in a while, but it's
Yeah. And I know some guys out there, like that's why I bring it up, because there's like big debates sometimes on Facebook, especially more so during turkey season, because you got a bird roosted
yeah.
and
Turkey season is where it gets ugly. Yeah.
because you got that bird roosted, and
But turkey season, I'm kind of the same way. But if anybody beats me there, then I'm not hunting it. But like if we didn't know each other were there and came in from different directions or something like that, I'm always setting up as close to the turkeys I possibly can.
yeah,
Or I wouldn't even call it setting up, but I'm getting as close to the turkeys I possibly can. I want to see them in the tree, whatever. 99% of the time, my only concern turkey hunting with people around is getting shot in the back
well,
because
absolutely,
there's never anybody between me and the turkey for the most part. I'm always the
hmm
closest guy, and I may not really be calling, or nobody really knows I'm there, but there's guys crawling up behind me, and so
right. It's hard to.
safety is my concern in
Okay,
turkey season.
what we got? All right, next question. When and where would you use cell cameras over regular cameras?
Cell cameras I'm gonna use where I don't want to walk in and get put my son in there. So like if I go hang cell cameras, I'll either put them in my hunting bag, and while I'm already there, I'm gonna put a cell camera up.
Okay.
Like say I go in I'm hunting the spot based on historical data. I saw in my journal that last year there was 3 bucks here on this date, and I'm
Yeah.
just gonna go hunt that day. I may throw a cell camera in my bag, and if I don't kill the deer, I'll hang a camera and see, if just to monitor and see if I'm getting pictures or not. I run cheap regular cameras all over the place, especially where somebody is going to see them.
Right. That way, if something were to happen, they
Yeah,
still SD card or
still whatever,
throw it on the ground.
they
Or,
can take the whole thing, and
yeah.
I'm out what $32 maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mainly put my cell cameras where the average guy isn't going, and where I don't want to get sent.
I think cell cameras are good too. The special opportunity hunts, if let's just say one's an
Where
hour.
it's hard to access.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you got bike only, or
Mm.
you're not going to be there, and you're like, man, this area looks good, like
I would definitely use cell cameras for
and
special
it gives
opportunities.
you an edge up because now you don't have to walk into that area and have to.
I think that's why if you go walk one of those special op places, it's full of cell cameras.
Yeah, exactly, because it gives you just
Yeah.
eyes where you ain't got to be there 24/7, or you got to live in a window because you just found out in
Yeah.
June that, oh man, I got this hunt. And
Yeah, so you run out there and throw a cell camera
yeah,
up. That would, yeah, if I hunted the special op ones, I would definitely use cell
right,
cameras. Yeah.
and like you said, just
But I'll put like regular cameras and stuff. A lot of times I'll throw up on dim roads or human trails and stuff like that. And that way I know if anybody's been in there.
heavy traffic or
You
heavy
know, like
pressure,
I
then
can
you know.
sometimes I'll throw a camera up on an old 2-track road to know if anybody's walked in or anything like that. So
Especially
monitor people with my cameras.
and then places where you've hunted, okay, I just want to see what's out here. I'm not gonna put a cell camera up because I know there's deer here and I know they're moving through here. So I'll probably just put up a regular camera just to see, maybe that deer that
Just to get a picture.
yeah, because or if it's a hard to reach area and there's bucks there. No, I'm not gonna waste one of my cell
A
cameras
lot
on
of
that area.
my when I run cameras in places I hunt, a lot of it is strictly just to get a cool picture of the deer.
Right.
Like a lot of it, most when I'm running cameras for information, it's in areas I'm not hunting. Because if I'm hunting, I know what's going on.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
some cameras I'll just say go out in a swamp and this nasty stuff that
yeah.
it's somewhere that I don't want to go more than once a year because it's just brutal getting there, and I'll throw a cell camera up or something
Right.
and just leave it all year. Or
No.
I may run out there. It may be a spot where I'll go out there in October and throw a cell camera up just in case there's extra pressure that year or something like that, and more deer get pushed out in there. So like if I'm hunting a couple bucks, say closer to the hill or whatever, if there's some extra hunting pressure in there, and then all of a sudden they start showing up on that camera every day,
Yeah.
then I know, nah,
Yeah.
I need to go out there.
Right. All right. Next question: if you shoot at a buck and miss, how would you continue to hunt him the rest of the season, or would you even continue to hunt him at all? So I think we talked about this a little bit. It might vary a little bit if you're hunting a 2-year-old buck or you're hunting a
Versus
5 or 6-year-old mature buck who might have already been shot at before, or he knows what a guy up in a tree stand after you done.
That's what most, I'm gonna say most 6.5-year-old deer in Florida have been shot at.
Right.
There's not many old bucks that come in this shop that I don't find either a scar, from a broadhead, where there's somebody 90% of the time it's hitting the shoulder blade,
Shoulder and just
or I'll see
stop
it in the neck or something a lot of times. So I'm gonna say probably 90% of bucks that come in here have old
Wow.
wounds. So yeah,
That's a pretty good number.
most bucks have been shot at. So if I was gonna, if I missed a big buck and he knew I was there, it's just not, obviously if he didn't know what in the world happened and I let him slip off, that'd be one thing. But if I actually spooked him,
Yeah.
then I'm probably not.
It's not like turkey hunting where they got the brain of a walnut.
Yeah.
You shoot at them and they might come right back to your next call. So you gotta be mindful of that.
Yeah, kind of what we were talking about earlier is that boy I took hunting.
Yeah.
And that buck, I still laugh about it. But like it was a big buck, and I had him patterned. I'm talking about to where I knew where he was going to be standing at a certain time.
Right.
Like just, it was one of them
Ideal
things. Like,
situation.
all right, I mean, it was
Paint it any better.
yeah, it was a new hunter. I mean, it was a big buck. It would have been the boy's first buck. I mean, it was a big one.
Right.
But and I wanted to kill him, but it's one of them things. Can you take me hunting? Okay, I'll do it.
Okay. Yeah.
But and it was a sure thing, kind of. So like climb this tree at 5:42. He's gonna be standing right here.
Yeah.
Be ready. shoot him, and he missed the deer 20 yards. Well, we left all those cameras up, and we were kind of curious to see, wonder what he's going to do. Whatever, we didn't get another picture of him for a month, and it was multiple times daylight every day on the cameras before that. Didn't get another picture for a month, and I think we got a picture, and then like the next day somebody else killed him. So I don't know where he went to for that month, but he was not there.
Typically, like you said, they'll just altogether avoid that area because now they know, oh man, there's a danger predator in that area, which is mainly you. Slinging an arrow at him, trying to kill him. So
a young buck though is
a 1 or 2 year old buck. Yeah, you might get lucky. Yeah,
a different animal altogether. I probably wouldn't really even worry about it. And if he did go, I mean, I may not sit. I wouldn't sit in the same tree.
Especially if he didn't see you. Then, like you said, you sit up 50, 60 yards away.
I wouldn't sit in the same tree, but I would go hunt the same deer.
Get a different angle at him. That way, he might key in on that tree, but you're set up over here.
If I was gonna say it was a nice 2.5-year-old I'd missed or something, if I was gonna try to hunt the same deer, then instead of hunting the same tree, if I could see him coming to me, I would go closer to where he came from. You know, I'd just move 50, 60, 100 yards, whatever it was, and try him again.
And next question is, how would you hunt the rain? It's been raining pretty good here consistently this month. It's kind of a 180.
It needs to keep on raining
compared to the spring. We had a super dry spring here in Florida, so it's nice getting some rain. But how would you hunt the rain, or how would you treat it differently when you're killing?
The top deer right there that I talked about was one of my favorite hunts.
Yeah,
I killed that one. The reason I hunted that deer was because of the rain. And we had one of the worst storms we'd had all year come through. And I kept looking at the radar, and like 2 hours before daylight, I could finally see the end of the storm was coming.
You're like, dang.
So I went. I'm talking. I put a rain suit on. I'm talking about it was like wind blowing 45-mile-an-hour, trees laid over sideways, raindrops so big it hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And I put the rain suit on and walked in there and actually carried my climber. It was gun season. Carried my climber, and about the time I was climbing the tree is when the rain got through, which was what I was going for. So 10 minutes, I mean, I was in the tree no time. 10 minutes after the rain passed and the wind died down, then out he stepped.
Wow.
But yeah, after I'm not gonna hunt in a hard rain.
No, yeah, especially during archery season too. Yeah,
and that's
visibility.
Normally when you have the hard rains.
Yeah,
even in archery season.
Right,
but
especially
after a rain, after a good hard rain, I'll definitely hunt that. And then, even after a rain, I think deer can still smell ground scent, but it's not as strong. I think they're not as overwhelmed by the scent after a good hard rain, so they're a little bit more relaxed, I think. So I like after a rain. And then as far as scouting, if I know we're getting a bad storm on Thursday, or so we're getting a bad storm on Thursday night. Thursday morning, if I have some cameras that I'm needing to hang or something like that,
right?
Then sometime before that rain Thursday, I'm gonna run out there and hang my cameras.
Just because their movement's going to be so much greater than it was possibly, right? Just because of the rain.
No, not for the pictures, for the scent aspect.
Scent aspect.
Yeah, so that way rain, I'm gonna get in there without touching as many bushes as I can, whatever. But that rain's gonna come by before dark.
Wash it.
And this is if I'm hanging cameras in a place they're probably not, gonna be right now in the daylight,
Okay.
So they're probably not gonna be out there till after dark. I'm just trying to see what kind of buck is in the area or whatever. So I'll run out there and throw some cameras up before rain. That way they're comfortable when they come out there at night, or when they're not smelling me or looking. Just to
it's a good point.
May help a little bit. What, you ever hunted much in the rain?
Not really, just mainly, especially if I'm out there and you can get all the rain suit on, but if equipment wise, and then you get soaked.
That's another thing, carrying cameras and stuff.
Yeah, you got to be mindful of you're paying premium for all your stuff and your gear.
Yeah.
Is it worth the risk of, hey, I might see this big buck, but now my bow, is.
I'm not worried about my bow, but most of the time, you end up sitting there with all of your crap covered up.
Yeah. Now you're heavier and you're soaked
and it's humid in the middle.
yeah, once it stops raining and
But I like after a big rain.
yeah, no, that's a good point, like you said.
I like hunting when the water's rising too, like a severe rain comes through and you're hunting a river swamp and that water rises fast.
Mm,
I like hunting that because they'll change beds a lot of times, I think.
okay.
I hope that was helpful. We got through 12 questions.
12, yep.
Yeah, that's not too bad. I think there's a lot of good questions.
No, it even helped me out, and like I said, I mean, I hope it helped them out.
I hope somebody was able to learn something. So
It's good to have two different perspectives of, you know, how to hunt or what I'm thinking and what you're thinking. It's going to be completely different, but it's good to have that.
It's not always different.
Good to have opinions, you know, because like I said, everybody's biased towards their way of hunting, and
there's always other ways to look at things,
and always ways to get better. So it's good to, you know, talk about it.
Everybody can learn something from somebody.
Absolutely.
Anyway, I hope y'all learn something and like the format. Maybe this is something we do in the future. If you have any questions, just message me on Facebook or comment on the video or any way you want to, and we'll try to do what we can to answer questions. I'm gonna try to have different guys come through and we'll spitball. Maybe it'd be nice to do a video like this each week or something.
Yeah, once a week would be nice.
We'd get through a lot of questions.
Oh, absolutely.
Uh,
Maybe even touch on the same questions like we talked about. They might
go dive deeper.
They might watch this video and say, "Man, you should talk about this," or "I wanted to say this," but you know,
good point. If you have, if you have answer like any of these questions, you've hunted that situation or something like that, and you have answers, just throw it in the comments, and we'll be happy to talk about it. We can learn something from everybody. We'll always learn something. So.
Absolutely.
But that's it for this one. Happy scouting, and we'll see you on the next one.